Well, thank you everyone for joining us today on the Brown Dad. We've got none other than Mr. Syed Hassan. He's an old man. No, he's an old friend. But we've connected after many years, so I'm excited for all the adventures he's had in that time. But very exciting to have you today, Syed. Please say something, Hassan. Please tell our viewers something about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. It's truly a pleasure. When you reached out to me, I thought it was kind of cool, the whole movement and everything, and I was super excited to be on and just share my 2 cents, and just talk about me.
Right.
My original background is from India, Hyderabad, and moved here to the States in 1997 with my
Nice.
mom, and been here since. So this is home.
Nice.
So I still hold a lot of values and cultures. I'm bilingual, I got that, and then obviously I have the American side. So it's definitely an interesting upbringing, especially very interesting in the current climate too.
Definitely. And moving in, you said just in 1996, was it?
97, yeah, yeah.
97. So you got a chance to experience a very different US pre sort of 9/11, and then after that, right? So
Yep, yep, yep.
so having spent quite a bit of your growing years in the US, what was that experience like?
It's been a very interesting journey. I've kind of encountered quite a bit growing up here. So I've seen the good and the bad, and it's really built who I am today. And all of the things when I look back, hindsight's always 2020, right? So when I look back and some of the things that I was kind of going through at the moment, I'm like, man, this is stupid. Why is this happening? But now I look back at it, and it's made me a better person as a result. So I wouldn't
Right.
change anything, even though it was a interesting upbringing and challenging upbringing.
Right.
Yeah, I look back and I'm like, you know what? It needed to happen to for me to be who I am today. So
Definitely. Now, Hassan, can I quickly ask from a professional standpoint? You've obviously branched out into something very different, very innovative. You are. I will let you share that about yourself.
So by profession, I'm a general manager in the real estate industry. So I manage a large cluster of properties in downtown DC, all residential, and I also have some commercial properties. So not mine. It's I work for a company and I manage the assets for them. So it's definitely not the typical line of work. I am not a doctor, lawyer, or in IT or in consulting.
Right.
Um, I took a different path, and for the most part, my family was supportive, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and I did what made me happy and what I was good at, and it's paid off really well.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, just talking about family and sourcing inspiration. Yeah, obviously, what was your inspiration to actually get into this line of work? What how did your relationship with your own parents or dad more specifically play into this line of work?
So some of the things that I do recall, growing up with just watching my dad and my mom, very hardworking individuals, right?
Right.
So what I gathered from that and just what their relentless pursuit for success, I saw just hard work pays off, and if you apply yourself and you're dedicated, it pays off. So that's basically the same spirit that I incorporated into my line of work, and I wanted to be successful, and I just worked hard, applied myself. I was relentless in my pursuit for success, and here I am.
Very nice. Very nice. And you obviously carry that now to two wonderful children that you have, right?
Yes, that's right.
And carrying that inspiration. So how does that play into your role as a father?
The inspiration with my kids and just me being a father. So it's been an interesting thing. So I come from a divorced household.
Right.
So my dad, I think, was around until the age of 12, and we haven't been in touch. And growing up, as far as modeling like a father figure, I didn't really have much. I learned what I could from my mom, but my mom's a single mother, right?
Right.
So working hard, and I had to take a lot of responsibility at a younger age, right?
Right.
So with that said, I've seen and I've realized and I've felt what a void it can be when you don't have a father figure around, right?
Right.
So, on my 16th birthday, going and getting my driver's license, it would have been great if dad was able to take me.
Right.
That kind of deal, those special moments that and bonds that you share with your father, if
Right.
they're lacking. So
Right.
I think a lot of that stems from that as well. So I try to be as present as I can with my kids. The one thing that I do is I spend a lot of quality time with them.
Right.
Time is the most valuable currency you have. You can buy them all the toys. The money doesn't equate to anything. You could be rich, you could be poor. Every
Yeah.
man out there has the luxury to a certain degree of time. And
Correct.
if you can spend it wisely with your kids, that's what they're going to remember.
Right.
So that's very key for me. So I try to do my best to spend as much time as I can with them,
Right.
and be there for those special moments with them, from their first step to their first words to their bike riding. When they learn how to ride a bike to everything. I want to be there, and I have
Right.
been, which is great.
That's amazing, and I think your children are blessed to have a father that thinks that way, right? And it's amazing to have that type of mindset. Now, obviously, as you said, it was challenging to find a source for that inspiration because of the disconnect that was there, and that forces you to be, I think, more involved, right? What
Yeah.
what do you see is one of the biggest challenges to fatherhood from being a brown person in that space and having gone through that twice over?
So I think some of the challenges are the social stigmas that we face in our society today, right?
Right. Right.
From immediately even looking at my, current family members that are around me, right? Um, their relationship with their kids is different.
Right.
And this is the elder generation, right? So with the fathers or what have you, oh, we don't change diapers or we don't feed the kids or what have you. And it's not that they don't want to. I think it's the social stigmas that carry with it.
Right.
And then
Right.
also, I personally believe it's a, it's a nervous. It stems from a nervous place, right? So they're scared, right?
Right.
Okay, well, I don't know how to do this, and
Right.
they're nervous about doing certain things. There's people that I know that are nervous. They don't want to even hold their own kids because they're scared, right?
Right.
So
Right.
there's that component of it as well. So it's not something that's commonly seen. And then to do it and kind of venture out, it could be a scary thing. So perhaps that's another reason why they kind of are removed from there.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting.
No, definitely, definitely. And those social stigmas are things that obviously at the Brown Dad we are trying to break through, right? And that's kind of the whole reason our messaging is patriarchy partnership, because we believe that through partnership only can we break that cycle of patriarchy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Children, I think, in the entirety of the process, it's the children that kind of lose out on that connection, where they that different type of interaction with your father or a male figure is then changing the dynamic that they have going forward, right? So definitely,
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you on that. Now, obviously, then sourcing from other places, what do you then see the ideal? Well, sorry, what type of dad do you aspire to be? That's something I should have actually asked you a little
I
earlier.
aspire to be a dad that's present,
Right,
right? I want them to know what by modeling myself to be a better person.
right,
Monkey see, monkey do, right?
right,
So by my actions, they're sponges. They're little sponges, right? So I'll sit here and having a conversation, or I may say something, or I might do something. They're constantly watching, and
right,
they're digesting that information.
right,
So in order for me to be a good example for them, I have to better myself. I'm not perfect, right? Everybody has flaws. We're human. So I strive to be a better person every day for
right,
my sake and for my children's sake.
right,
So I want to be a better person. and I want them to learn what it's like as well. I don't want them to ever put me on a pedestal to say that, oh, dad was great, or set an unexpectable or an unachievable standard for them of like, oh, it's going to be impossible to be like dad or anything like that. I want to show them that it's simpler than that. I think it's easier than that. And it's just about your mindset and what your drive is. And right now, each phase of your life, you have a different focus. And when you do have kids, you have to divert that focus to your children, especially when at a young age, right? Because this is when they need you, this is when they want you. And once they're teenagers, they don't have time for me. They won't have time for me. And I'll have all the time in the world. So I'll be hitting up all my friends that I haven't seen in about 10, 15 years and be like, dude, what are you doing, man? Let's get together. We're like, yeah, man, I'm bored at home. Let's get together. Let's go take a road trip. Let's go get some bikes and let's go canyon cruising, whatever it is, right? So there's a time and place for everything. So I think it's important to obviously dial into the kids now and engage with them, spend that time with them. A lot of the activities that I do with them, the toys that we get together, it's somehow interactive with me in there. So I engage with them, right? So remote control cars. So I'll get one for myself so I can engage with them so they can see me. And they're like, Baba, let's go and let's go drive our remote control cars together, right? So all of my activities, I want them to be a part of it. So like I'll go to the garage and I'll be working on my car and they will bring out their cars and I'll give them some safe tools and they're wrenching away and I'm wrenching away and they show me, Baba, check this out. Baba, check that out. Look at what I did. Look. So that engagement, they have those fond memories growing up and that quality time that they spend.
Right, right, right. And they learn to appreciate that, right? Because now that definitely strengthens that family bond, and it changes, as we said, the dynamic that you have with them. Wonderful,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
wonderful, wonderful. So, what do you then see the idea of brown dad as?
The idea of brown dad, I feel like it needs to be properly defined. Not so much defined, but it needs to be explored further. And there needs to be more
Right,
conversation that needs to happen, right? So there is, I would say the idea is grand and it doesn't fit a box, right? It's applicable to multiple people with different backgrounds and different comfortable levels, right? So not everybody can change a number two poopy diaper, right?
right,
Some people have a really bad gag reflex, so I don't expect everybody to be able to do that, right? And it's not a knock on anybody if you can't do something, but be there and at least try. You owe it to your kids and you owe it to your wife to be able to be there for that, right? To be a present to dad, somebody that helps out and what have you. And I think honestly, we need to a reflect and then try to see where we're trying to take the next generation. It's a big responsibility to shoulder, but
right.
it's a very important responsibility to have because you are setting the tone for the next generation to come.
Yeah,
So if you want to see that change, and if you become that change, hopefully your kids can learn from that, and it normalizes things to a certain degree, right? So
right,
changing diaper is not such a big taboo for a guy, because I know some places, it may be emasculating to change a diaper. Oh, you change a diaper?
right.
It's a diaper. Come on, get over it, right? So those are the type of things I think that stigma needs to be beaten, and there needs to be more conversation about it, and people need to be more forward about
Right.
these kind of situations. So if we build a better link, a better network, a better community where we can grow and people can learn and have a common ground where they can share with other people. I think that community needs to exist, and I'm hoping that Brown Dad is able to, build that for a lot of us.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to have every brown dad change a diaper. No, no. Eventually, I mean, and you're absolutely correct. There at the brown dad, personally, we feel there are no gender assigned roles. I mean, short of feeding the child, like physically feeding the child, right? With with uh, with uh, body nourishment, right? For lack of better words, the short of that, we feel that gender doesn't really play a role in your ability to provide for your child, right?
No,
And
no,
it's
100% agree with you. And there are certain things I want to touch on that just based on gender.
yes,
So my kids, right? They will roughhouse with me. They'll have fun with me. They'll laugh with me, and I am who energizes them. But
right,
when they bump their head and they cry, or they scrape their knee and they cry, the first thing they want is comfort from their mother. So I
Correct.
believe each parent has their role, and it's
Right.
a biological connection that you cannot deny, right?
Correct. Correct.
So they're not going to come to me for nurture,
Right.
but they will come to me for advice, right?
Correct.
They will come to me, and it's different for boys, different for girls, right?
Yes.
There's a different connection with each. I only have boys, so I don't know what the other side's like. I have nieces, but I don't think it really counts. But it's a different environment that you're in. So the boys, whenever they're hurt or if they're not feeling well or what have you, they want their mom, and she's the only one that can comfort them.
Right.
And it hurts my feelings a little bit sometimes, but you know what? I understand. I understand.
Right.
I can't be everything, and I can't be everywhere for them. So it's
Right.
important.
You'll have your moments when mom's not around to give them that comfort. I could see firsthand. I mean, as a dad of a little girl, the emotional support is required. I think I find that it depends on who's around. If my wife is around, then the emotional support's more on her. If I'm around, then I'm the only choice. So she really
Yeah,
has no
exactly. I mean, beggars can't be choosers, my friend. So definitely,
right.
you
But
gotta take.
but as I said, so in that sense, I think that even in the absence, then being able to provide that is something. Just awareness of the fact that we're able to provide it and there's no limitation, I think, is empowering for a dad, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Definitely, definitely. I think that was wonderful. I think you've quite touched on every aspect of things that we really wanted to talk about. I'm going to ask at this point in time if you have any words of wisdom. I usually call this segment Pearls of Wisdom. I'm going to ask if you have any words of wisdom for our viewers.
I mean, to be honest with you, this is just speaking to all the dads out there. I'm like, look, man, real talk. You boys' hangouts will be there. Boys' trips will be there. They'll come around, but miss time on your watch with your little ones is not replaceable. And time is a very, very valuable currency, more than money, more than anything. Nothing. You can't put a price on time. So
Great.
spend time with your kids. Make sure you make memories with them, and take lots of pictures, take lots of videos, because believe it or not, in a few years, that's all you will be left with, because your kids are not going to need you as much anymore. They're not
Great.
going to have that much time. They'll be off to college. They'll be getting married, and they're gone. So these will be the things that you will be able to look back on and reminisce about the good times and relive your past. It's
Great.
almost as if it's your time machine. So make those memories and make sure you capture those memories for sure.
Definitely. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Those are lovely words of wisdom for all our viewers. Hassan, I want to thank you actually for joining us today on the Brown Dad. It's been an absolute pleasure to touch base with you and get a very fresh, refreshing perspective on diaper changes. No, I think you've been phenomenal with presenting that perspective. It is definitely a much needed aspect for people to hear, more importantly for dads, and more importantly for brown dads to hear that it is important to have that other side of things, and patriarchy to partnership is the entire message that we're trying to pass along. With that, I call this episode to an end. Thank every one of you for watching. Thank you for joining us at the Brown Dad. Have an awesome day. Take care.
My pleasure. Thank you.